Super Hearts Kids Consignment. Welcome back to our fourth video on how to tag and prepare your items. And in this video, we are going to prepare and tag our toys. So any types of toys that you have, from infant all the way up to teen type toys. Any of that can be priced to put in the sale. So we're going to start with something that's very simple, just a one-piece toy. It doesn't have any pieces that you have to worry about coming off away from the toy or anything like that. So any type of toy like that, you've got two options on how to tag it. On this particular one, the best option is going to be using your zip ties. So on this one, I'm going to choose my zip tie, whatever size you think is appropriate. I'm going to have my tag for whatever price that I'm going to put on it. If you would like, you can put your description on the toy. It is best on toys to put in the description, for one, if they work or not. If they don't work, you really should not be selling them at the sale. Or if they're missing a few pieces or something like that, like if you have a big block set, always denote on your tag if it's missing anything so people know what they are buying and you're being truthful and forward about that so they know what they're buying. So for this, just like we did shoes, I'm going to take my tag and I'm going to use my piece of packing tape to reinforce and laminate my tag. So I'm going to place that right across the top. Again, I'm going to write the description on it first before I do this. I'm going to put my piece of tape on there, and then I'm going to hole punch, make sure it's hole punched through the tag and the tape. And then I'm going to take my zip tie through my tag and through an area on the toy that's not going to come loose. So if this was loose, for example, or easy to remove, I would not put it here. I would choose a different area. But for any place where the tag is not going to come off, that's where you want to tag your single items. This is another example. This is a multiplication game toy. So for this, I'm just going to simply tape the tag to the back of the toy because it's a nice flat surface. So that's another option that you can do. Of course, I would write on here if the toy works, or if it needs batteries, and what type of batteries. If you can put batteries in them to make sure they work, that's great. And then you would just take your piece of tape to your tag and write to your item, and just make sure that that's flat on the item all the way around so that the tape doesn't get stuck or caught on anything when it's on the table. So that way they can flip it over and see the price, and then your price stays there. Another couple of options on how to tag multiple items at one time together. So this is an example of two O-ball cars. For these two, I actually want to put them together and price them together. So for this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my tape with my tag, and don't pay attention to these prices. I'm just using the tags as examples because I would not mark it this high. But after that's done, again, you put your hole in there. And then for this, I'm going to use just a slightly larger zip tie. Again, run it through your tag. And then I'm going to run it through both of the O-ball cars together, so they're all on one zip tie. And then I'm going to run that through to latch it down, and then that whole set is together. So you can do this for any types of items, like if you want to do multiple trucks that way, or multiple cars, anything that you can just use a zip tie to attach multiple things together, you can do that with one price tag. Now another way to attach multiple things together, or with items that have multiple pieces, like this item here, for example. This is a Melissa and Doug farm play mat with soft animals. So this has a nice little carrying case, but it's only Velcro. So with this, I would actually put this whole thing in a baggie, and tape it down to make sure that everything stays in there together. So I'm going to start by folding up the outside case and making sure the handles can be seen, just so you know they know that there is a case. And then I'm going to put all of the little animals and pieces in the bag with it. So all of this fits really nicely here. So all of that is in a bag, nice and together. And then from here, of course, you would write your description on the tag, and then you can just simply slide your tag into the bag so that it's facing outward. And now from here, we're just going to, I usually like to push some of the air out just because it helps in packing totes and things like that to get more stuff in your totes. I zip it closed, fold it over, and then I'm going to use my packing tape to now tape this closed. So I usually just run it across the seal of the bag, and then I'll flip it over, and then I'll tape the sides. So that way everything is in that one little package, and with your description on there, then they'll be able to know exactly what's in the bag, but they'll also be able to see what's in the bag. For another example of that with a different toy, I've got this LOL surprise doll here, and she has lots of little accessories. So my tip with something like this is, could you leave her out and put all of this in a small bag, all of her accessories, and attach it to her? You could. But the problem with that is her shoes and her boots and things like that come off very easily. So again, I would take all of her accessories and her and put them in a baggie. So I usually just lay her in there and then just lay the accessories in there as well so that they can be seen. So we get everything in the bag. And again, I usually just take it, flip it over, push some of the air out, zip it, and then again, I would take it and tape this bag closed. The reason it's important to tape your bags closed is so that kids cannot get into them as easily and lose your small pieces to your toy items or any type of item for that matter. So now she's all sealed and it's all in one package together. And of course on this one I forgot to put the tag in there, but if that happens, I'll show you a little trick. You can actually just slice a little slice here in your baggie, which I've done this multiple times when I'm going too fast. Slide that tag right in there and then just put a piece of tape right back over that slice. So that's one way if you are, you know, doing a bunch of toys at one time and you happen to miss a tag, you can add a tag to the baggie that you've already sealed. And that tape seals it really nicely so they can't get in there. Now this little unicorn here is a good example of a toy that's a little bit too large to go in a bag, but it has multiple pieces. So this is one of the ones that has the little babies in here. And I would not leave the little babies in there by themselves because again, if a child picks it up and is carrying it around and starts playing with it, they're going to take these out and they're going to lose them. So for this, I would leave the big part of the toy out, and then I would use a smaller zip bag. This just happens to be a quart size. And I would put all of the little babies in one bag, like so. And then we would do the exact same thing. We would take the baggie, squish out the air, zip it. And before I actually do the rest of that, you can do this a couple of different ways. I like to put my tags inside of all of the bags, even if I'm attaching it to a larger toy. So I'm actually gonna put my tag in here first. Then we're gonna flip it over and zip it down. And then we're going to tape it, just like we have the other bags. So all of the little babies are taped down in there. They can still see the price. And then from here, I'll usually use whatever I have available to poke a hole into the corner, the thicker part of the corner of my bag. So you can use a pair of scissors to do that. You can use your hole punch to do that. If you have a little Phillips head screwdriver, you can do it that way as well. Since I have my scissors here, I'm just gonna take that, poke a hole right through the bag, and then that way I can take my zip tie, run it through that hole. We've got the little babies in the baggie through there. And then you're gonna find the best place to attach this to the toy so that it does not come off. In this case, this one happens to have something around her neck, or I could put it around her leg, and that's probably what I'm gonna choose to do because I think that's gonna hold a little better. So I'm going to just attach that fairly tight since it's a plush. And then you just wanna double check that it doesn't slide off. And then that's all together in one nice package, and they know what's supposed to be with it and nothing gets lost. So that's some ideas on tagging for you on smaller toys. I'm gonna shift these down so I can show you a larger toy. So on this next toy, you can do this for any large toys that have multiple pieces, because you want to try to keep everything together so that they don't get lost. So we have this 18-inch doll ice cream truck here. So this, as you can see, has lots of little pieces. I mean a lot of little pieces. And then they also have these couple of stools that go with this as well. So everything else in here I've already checked to make sure. So you still have these that come out, so I want to make sure I take any loose pieces and place these in my baggie and make sure that there's nothing else that's loose that's going to come out, because again, if kids can pull it off of something, they will, and it's going to get lost. So you want to make sure everything is together. So in this case, we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to cinch down everything that I can fit in a baggie. If you need to use multiple bags, that's perfectly fine as well. Or if you need a larger bag, that's fine. And we're going to zip this down here with our tape. So we've got our bag, we've got our tape, again across the top of the bag so that it won't come out. And sometimes I'll even take it and kind of move it around the bag just so everything's kind of there, and everything, again, you just don't want any edges that are easy to pull and open. So from here now, you can take somewhere in the bag, and I do like underneath the main zip portion here, I like to be able to take whatever I'm going to use to make that hole, and I'm going to slide that right through there underneath this tougher portion of the bag. And I'm going to use, and probably we're going to stick this somewhere inside of here so that it will attach to somewhere that's nice and sturdy in the toy. So I'm going to use a decent size zip tie, and I'm going to put that through there, and then I'm just going to sit it up on the counter part there, and then zip that closed. And you can see that that's not going to go anywhere. It's attached to the toy, and it's there with the toy. Now on this particular toy, we also have these benches that are loose. So for these, you could put them in another baggie and attach the baggie, or you can take just a zip tie by itself and attach both of the stools also in here somewhere so that you know that they're still there all together, and then that they're not going to go anywhere. And I like to try to stick the stuff inside the toy if possible, because then it's just easier to pack when you're packing your stuff to bring it into the sale. And then from here, I would put my tag on here somewhere. Now this particular item has a lot of flat surface, so I would take my tag And then I would just, again, I would put all of my details on the tag, and then I would lay it and just tape it directly to the item. Like that. So you've got your tag here, and then you've got all of your items inside the toy attached together so that kids aren't able to cart these pieces off separately and lose pieces to your item. This is also making sure, like on your toy, if you have things that open up, like this one has this top portion here that opens, or if you have anything that comes off easily, you may want to attach those or tape those down as well, just so that they don't get lost, broken off and lost with your, away from your item. And then to finish up with toy tips, if you have really large size toys, like block sets, for example, or a big Hot Wheels, garage, or train sets, things like that that take up a lot of bulk space, keeping your comforter bags or getting comforter bags from your neighbors or your family, that is a great way to store toys to be able to sell them. So things like this that a comforter would have come in, or even vacuum bags. So your vacuum sealable bags, you do not have to vacuum them down, just use them as large, oversized zip bags. And those can hold, as you can see how big this one is, those will hold a huge set of toys and keep it all together, because you can still tape it down after you've zipped it at the top really easily, and either put your tag inside the bag, or you could tape it potentially to the outside of the bag, or you could poke a hole through it and attach your tag that way. So that's another good tip for oversized items. We do not like to see items put in open containers like boxes or plastic bins that are not taped down, because people, again, kids just kind of go through them and throw them everywhere. So we want all of your items to stay together so they can be sold together as you have priced them and tagged them. So hopefully you'll be able to use some of these tips and tricks on tagging your toys, and we want to thank you for watching this video. In our next video, we are going to tackle books, games, and puzzles. Thank y'all so much. Bye-bye.